From the very beginning, Ireti was not like other girls. While many children her age played quietly and sat listening to folk stories in the evening, Ireti was the one who always had a bruise on her elbow, dust on her feet, or a torn dress from some scuffles. She grew up in a noisy compound in Ibadan, where children from different families mixed freely, but no one dared cross her path. If another child snatched her toy or insulted her, she would not just cry. She would fight back with all the strength her little fist could carry. Her mother, Mama Ireti, became used to hearing knocks on the door. Sometimes it was a neighbor dragging a crying child with a swollen cheek. Other times, it was another mother shouting in anger, "Madam, come out oh, and warn your daughter. If she beats my child again, I will not take it lightly." At first, Mama Ireti tried to defend her daughter. Maybe it was the other child that started the trouble, she would say. But deep down, she knew her daughter's temper was as short as a matchstick. Ireti did not like to be cheated or insulted, no matter how small the matter was. One afternoon, when she was only 9, she fought a boy much bigger than herself because he mocked her torn sandals. The fight drew a crowd of children and adults. Though she did not win that fight, she refused to cry. Standing there with a bleeding lips, she shouted, "Next time, if you try me again, I will beat you till you run away from these streets." The onlookers gasped at her boldness. That day, her reputation spread. She became known as Ireti the Fighter. But there was another side to her. Whenever she saw a child being bullied, she would defend them fiercely, even if it meant another fight. Once, she saw an older boy snatching a little girl's food. Ireti pounced on him, scratching his face until he let go. Then, she handed the food back to the crying girl and said gently, "Don't let anybody cheat you again." This mixture of fire and kindness confused people. Parents warned their children not to provoke her, but the same parent would sometimes say, "If you are in trouble, call Ireti, she will fight for you." Her mother, however, was not impressed. To her, a girl who fought too much would only bring shame. She often looked at Ireti and sighed, "My daughter, one day your temper will disgrace you. Learn to control it." But Ireti only shrugged, unconcerned. To her, fighting was not disgrace, it was survival. By the time Ireti was a teenager, her reputation had spread beyond her streets. In school, teachers knew her as the girl who would not hesitate to argue or fight if provoked. Her classmates respected her, but they also feared her. Some secretly admired her courage, but others whispered that she was a troublemaker. Her family was not comfortable with her behavior. One evening, after yet another complaint from a neighbor, her parents decided to call a family meeting. They invited her uncles, aunties, and even grandmother to speak sense into her. They gathered in the sitting room, the air heavy with seriousness. Her father, Baba, cleared his throat. "My daughter, you are bringing shame to this family everywhere we go. People talk about how you fight. Is that the name you want to make for yourself?" Her grandmother, a wrinkled old woman with a sharp tongue, shook her head. "When a girl is too stubborn, she will spoil her own market. Which man will marry a woman that fights like a street boy?" "My granddaughter, calm yourself down before it is too late." Ireti sat quietly, arms folded, her eyes burning with suppressed anger. She hated these lectures. Nobody seemed to understand her. Finally, she spoke. "I don't go around looking for trouble, oh. It is people who look for my trouble. Should I fold my hands and allow anybody to cheat me or insult me? Never, oh." Her uncle, who had been watching her closely, said in a calm tone, "It is not every insult you must answer." Sometimes silence is stronger than shouting. If you fight all the time, people will only remember your fists, not your heart. But Ireti shook her head stubbornly. People respect me because they know I cannot be pushed. I cannot be pushed around. If I keep quiet, they will take me for a fool. The family members exchanged worried looks. It seemed no amount of advice could change her mind. Finally, her father raised the sense in frustration. You will not listen now, but remember my words. Your temper would one day land you in serious trouble. That night, as she lay on her bed, Ireti thought about what they had said. For a moment, doubt flickered in her heart. She was really disgracing her family, or wasn't she? But the thought quickly disappeared to her. They were exaggerating. She was simply defending herself in a world that was harsh and unfair. Years passed, and Ireti grew into a young woman. Life was not easy, but she was hardworking. With her savings and a little support from her mother, she started selling thrift clothes, aka Okirika, in the market. The store was small at first, just a wooden table under a big umbrella. But Ireti's boldness and sharp tongue attracted customers. She would call out to passerby with confidence, "Fine lady, come and see original London wear at cheap price. You cannot get it anywhere else o. Na here Mercy Johnson for the shop. You no know Genevieve, na here she dey buy o." Her energy was infectious. Soon, her business grew. She became well known in the market, not only for her bright smile and catchy sales calls, but also for her fiery temper. Traders whispered, "If you want peace, don't try Ireti o. She can fight anybody, even a man." Yet, in the same breath, they admitted she had a kind heart. If a struggling woman begged for clothes, Ireti might sell at half price or even give it for free. Sometimes she allowed people to owe her, trusting they would pay later. This kindness, however, often put her in trouble. Some people tried to take advantage of her generosity, but everyone also knew she was not the one to be cheated. If she caught anyone lying to her, her voice would rise like thunder. She would plant her hands on her waist, eyes blazing, and before long, the whole market would hear her shouting. One incident made her reputation spread even further. A customer had picked clothes worth a good amount and promised to pay later. When the woman delayed too long, Ireti went to her house to demand payment. The woman's husband tried to dismiss her, but Ireti stood her ground, shouting until the whole street gathered. Out of shame, the husband finally paid. That day, some traders praised her boldness, while others shook their head. "This girl's temper will be her downfall one day," an elderly woman said. But Ireti did not care. To her, she was only standing for what was right. Despite everything, people loved to buy from her. She was lively, funny, and always made her customers laugh. Na here Otedola daughter buy her wedding gown last week o. I dey sell confirm. They will all laugh, but beneath the laughter, her short fuse was never far away. It was like a hidden fire, waiting for the smallest spark. Business was going well for Ireti in the market, but not every customer was trustworthy. Among them was a woman named Dupe, a fleshy young lady who often dressed in expensive wigs and high heels, but always claimed she was short of cash. About a year earlier, Dupe had bought a bag of fairly used clothes from Ireti. She had smiled sweetly and promised, "Sister Ireti, don't worry o, I will bring the money next week. The thing is that it's dollar I have o, I have not gone to change it. When I change I will give you the money. You know, you cannot take hard currency now." Ireti shook her head in agreement, but next week came and went. Then another week, then months. Whenever Ireti saw her and asked for her money, Dupe would laugh it off. My sister, things are tight oh. I changed that money oh, but do you know that they robbed me? Don't worry, I will pay you. Just be patient. At first, Ireti held back her temper. She believed everyone deserved some patience. But as time passed, she grew restless. She had bills to pay, and that money was not small. What pained her most was the way Dupe continued to flaunt her wealth, buying new clothes, changing hairstyles, and bragging loudly in the market. Soon, friends began to tease Ireti. Madam Fighter, is this the first person that has cheated you? How come you have not beaten her yet? Or maybe Dupe has jazz. That's why Ireti cannot fight her. Another added with a smirk. Ireti hated those comments, but she kept quiet. She told herself, one day I will meet her properly. That day she will pay. Her mother noticed her frowning face one evening as she returned from the market. What is it again, my daughter? Nothing, Mama, Ireti replied, but her voice was tight. She didn't want to burden her mother with the matter. Yet, deep inside, she was boiling in rage. For a whole year, Dupe had managed to avoid her, disappearing whenever she came near. But fate cannot be avoided forever. The day of reckoning finally came. The sun was blazing hot and the market was as noisy as ever. Ireti was arranging some clothes when she suddenly spotted Dupe strolling in, hips swaying, her perfume announcing her presence. She carried a new handbag, clearly imported, and was chatting loudly with her friends. Ireti's heart raced. So she has money for handbag, but not for my clothes. Today, I will show her pepper. She dropped the clothes and marched straight towards Dupe. Dupe, she shouted. The whole row of traders turned to look. Dupe turned lazily, her face painted with indifference. Yes? What is it? You still owe me money for those clothes you bought last year. I have asked you again and again, when will you pay me? Dupe raised her eyebrow and laughed mockingly. Ireti, is it because of that small money you are shouting like this? Abeg o, leave me jare. Gasps rose from onlookers. Everybody knew this was the wrong thing to say to Ireti. Her eyes flashed with anger. Small money, Dupe. Do you know how many goods I can buy with that so-called small money? You think I am a fool? Today, you will not leave this market until you pay me. Dupe smirked and adjusted her wig. And if I don't pay, what will you do? That was the spark. Before anyone could blink, Ireti grabbed Dupe by the blouse. Dupe screamed, struggling, but Ireti's grip was iron. The market erupted. Traders rushed from every corner to see the drama. Some shouted for peace. Others cheered. Fight! Fight! Ireti has started again oh! Children screamed, clapping their hands. Dupe crashed. Ireti pushed, and within seconds, the two women were rolling on the ground. The crowd swayed. Some tried to separate them, but Ireti's fury was unstoppable. You will pay me today, Dupe. You think I am joking? She roared, her voice rising across the market. The fight was the fiercest she had ever had, and just when it seemed she would tear Dupe apart, a new voice arose from above the chaos. Enough! It was a calm, deep voice, firm yet gentle. The sound cut through the noise like a blade. The crowd felt silence for a moment, and even Ireti froze. She turned her head and saw him, a tall young man with broad shoulders and kind eyes. He was not shouting like the others. He was not struggling to separate them. He simply stood there, his presence commanding attention. Ireti, he said, his voice steady, you are better than this. For reasons she could not explain, her heart skipped. No one had ever spoken to her like that. People usually shouted, mocked, or feared her, but this man's voice was different, calm, yet powerful. as though he saw something in her no one else did. Her grip on Dupe weakened. She suddenly felt ashamed, aware of the large crowd staring. For the first time in her life, she did not feel like the victorious fighter. She felt exposed, small, almost guilty. Dupe, sensing her advantage, pushed herself free and hissed, "I will pay you when I like," she said, but her voice trembled as she walked away quickly. The crowd began to disperse, murmuring. Some were disappointed the fight had ended too soon, others were relieved. But Ireti remained rooted to the spot, her chest heaving, her eyes still locked on the stranger. Korede stepped closer, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "Anger does not suit you. Don't let it control you." Her lips parted, but no words came. Instead, she felt something strange stirring inside her. Shame, yes, but also admiration. Who was this man? Who could stop her with just a few words? When she finally walked back to her store, he followed quietly, not intruding, just making sure she didn't return to fight. That night, as Ireti lay on her bed, her heart beat faster than usual. The fight with Dupe no longer occupied her mind. Instead, she kept hearing the echo of that calm voice. "You are better than this." For the first time in her life, the thought of fighting no longer made her proud. It made her uneasy, and at the center of that change was one name: Korede. After that unforgettable day in the market, Ireti could not get Korede out of her mind. His voice had pierced her heart in ways no insult or fight ever had. It was not just what he said, but how he said it, with calmness, with care, almost as if he saw something good inside her that she herself had forgotten. She found herself replaying the moment over and over. The way he had looked at her, the gentleness in his eyes. For the first time, she felt ashamed of fighting. That shame did not crush her. Instead, it made her restless, like a child longing for something new. The next day in the market, she caught herself scanning through the crowd, hoping to see him again. She didn't even know his name yet, but his image refused to leave her mind. As fate would have it, Korede returned to the market later that week. This time, he walked up to her store and smiling warmly. "I just came to check on you," he said. Ireti blinked, surprised, obviously. "Check on me? Why?" "Because I could see you were troubled the other day. I wanted to be sure you are fine." Her heart softened instantly. Nobody had ever cared enough to follow up like that. Usually, people only came to scold her or laugh at her mistakes. But this stranger, he was different. She tried to hide her emotion, struggling. "I am fine. I don't like when people owe me. That's all." He nodded. "I understand you. That's normal. But there are better ways to handle it." Something about the way he said it made her drop her guard. And Ireti found herself listening quietly instead of arguing back. That evening, as she packed her goods, she realized her heart was beating fast again. She was confused. Was this what people call love? She had never felt it before. All she knew was that Korede's presence left a mark on her spirit that no fight had ever. Korede did not stop at that one visit. From time to time, he came to see her in the markets, sometimes buying clothes he didn't even need, just to have a reason to talk to her. He never mocked her reputation, never judged her past. Instead, he asked about her dreams, her struggles, and her fears. And slowly, without even realizing it, Ireti began to change. She still had her temper, but it no longer ruled her. When a customer tried to cheat her, she found herself remembering Korede's calm words. Instead of shouting, she would take a deep breath and say, "Madam, please pay what you owe. If you don't want it, return the clothes." Other traders noticed the difference. Is this the same Ireti? What happened to her fire? they whispered. Her mother also noticed. One evening, she looked at her daughter in amazement. My child, these days you don't fight like before oh. Even your face looks softer. What is happening? Ireti only smiled shyly. She could not bring herself to mention Korede's name. It felt too sacred, too delicate to be spoken carelessly. But Korede himself knew he was making an impact. He never pressured her to change, never demanded perfection. He simply remained present, patient, and kind. And in his quiet way, he taught her that true strength was not in throwing punches, but in holding back. For the first time in her life, Ireti began to understand what peace felt like. It was not long before Ireti realized she was in love, the way her heart was always joyful. Whenever Korede came near, the way she found herself waiting eagerly for his visit, it was clear. She had fallen deeply and unexpectedly. What surprised her more was that Korede felt the same. One evening, as they sat outside her store after closing time, he said softly, Ireti, I know people may not understand, but I love you. I love you just as you are, even with your flaws. Tears filled her eyes. She had always thought no man would ever love a woman like her. Her parents had always said it. Her uncles, her auntie, her grandma. They said, a woman known for her fists than for her gentleness will never find a man to marry her. But here was a man, calm and steady, declaring his love openly. Not everyone was happy about it. Some traders gossiped, shaking their heads. Korede is wasting his time. That girl will disgrace him one day oh. She cannot change. A fighter would always be a fighter. Even some of Ireti's relatives tried to discourage him. Korede, are you sure you want to marry her? She will give you trouble oh. But Korede stood firm. I see what others don't. I see her heart. She's more than her temper. The love gave Ireti courage. It reminded her she was not defined by her past and someone truly believed in her. And she allowed herself to dream of a different future, a future filled with laughter instead of fights, with love instead of shame. The wedding was simple but joyful. Friends from the market, neighbors and families gathered to celebrate. Many came out of curiosity, eager to see if the famous fighter had truly found peace. As she walked down the aisle in her white gown, Ireti held her head high, but not with the arrogance of old. This time, her pride was mixed with humility. She was no longer just Ireti the fighter, she was Ireti the beloved. Marriage was not without challenges. There were days when her temper threatened to rise again, but Korede's calmness always balanced her. Whenever she started to flare up, he would simply hold her hands and say, remember, you are better than this. And she would smile. Remembering the first day he had said those words, her parents watched with amazement. The same daughter they once feared would disgrace the family was now bringing them honor. Her mother often said to visitors, love truly changes a person. Look at my Ireti today. Ah, if anybody had told me that girl would be this good and calm, I will not believe it oh. Over the years, Ireti grew into a woman of strength and wisdom. She never lost her boldness, but it was no longer reckless. Instead, she used it to defend her family, to stand for truth, and to support her husband. No one dared the family because they knew Ireti's strength. One evening, as she sat with Korede, watching the sunset, she whispered, I never thought I could change, but you believed in me when no one else did. Korede smiled and kissed her forehead. You were always strong, my love. I only helped you see a better way to use your strength. And so, Ireti the fighter was reborn, not through fists and fury, but through love, patience, and grace. Thank you for watching this story. I hope you enjoyed watching. Kindly share with us the valuable lessons you have learned from this story as we interact in the comment section. Like this video, please, and kindly share out this video to your loved ones. Until I come your way again with another story, for now, from me, it is